What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for April the 1st of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. Of course, as always, I hope that this one does find you well on today's April Fool's Day, but this is a daily gaming news podcast, and that's not a joke, in which I let you guys know what is going on in the beautiful world of gaming. Now, with that being said, we've got a lot to catch up on from over the weekend. Of course, Sega is releasing a Genesis Mini worldwide coming this September. Valve's VR set has been teased, and there is a link in which there will be an announcement at some point in the future, and we will talk about when that is. Now, there was a controversy going around online in which it had appeared that artists behind the scenes at Epic Games had stolen the work and emulated it within Fortnite of a DeviantArt artist, but that has since been proven false. Humble Bundle co-founders have stepped down, replaced by former Double Fine VP. The original version of Assassin's Creed 3 has been delisted from Steam and Uplay as well upon release of the big remaster, so I thought that I would touch on that. And Skyrim Grandma will be an NPC in the Elder Scrolls 6, of course, a good feel-good story to end off the day, and that's pretty much the lineup for today's show. But again, if you are brand new to the program, this is hosted 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time over on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams. It's then put up on YouTube services and podcast services around the world. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the biggest gaming news of the day. First off, Sega is releasing the Genesis Mini worldwide this September, and so we'll come back to the update, but the original story is as follows from Game Informer. Remember when mini consoles were all the rage? Sega remembers. In 2018, the company announced an intention to get into the same mini console market that Nintendo reported insane sales with in 2016, 17, and 18, and Sony also participated in last year, to no avail, really, when it comes down to it. Now, the company has finally announced the details of that in what will, at least in the West, likely be called the Genesis Mini. Sega revealed the console today, they say on Friday, I believe, on stage in Tokyo at the Sega Fest conference, highlighting that the system will come with over 40 games, including titles like Shining Force and Castlevania Bloodlines, though the American branch of the company has not said if a US release will have a different game list or not. When the console was revealed last year, Sega announced that it would release in 2018 and be spearheaded by AtGames, infamous for the disappointing variations of the same shelf-life Genesis concept already. Sega eventually gave AtGames the boot and retooled the idea internally to come out with this. A good move, nonetheless. The controller will be designed to mimic the 6-button Genesis controller and be the same shape and size, while the console itself will have save states just like other mini consoles on the market. In Japan, it will come in different bundles for 1 controller or 2 controllers, but no US pricing or bundle details have been announced. However, the Genesis Mini is releasing worldwide on September the 19th, and of course, the story will update with more info. And it has since been updated with more info. Sega has announced some of the 40 games that will be included with the system, and more games will be announced over the coming months. So here is the list that we have so far. It's a short list, but it's still a list. Altered Beast, Castlevania Bloodlines, Comic Zone, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Echo the Dolphin, Gunstar Heroes, Shining Force, Space Harrier 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Toe Jam and Earl. The company also announced a few other details about the system. It's based on the original Model 1 Genesis, which is generally viewed as having better audio than later versions, comes with all 40 games, 2 USB Genesis controllers, as well as power and HDMI cables. The ports of the games on the Genesis Mini are being done by M2, who previously worked with Sega on the Sega Aces and Sega 3D Classics collection, and it is going to be releasing for $79.99 on September the 19th. So overall, this is a very cool little piece of hardware. I must admit, I'm pretty fond of it. Whenever it comes down to these mini consoles, I know some people love them, some people hate them, but when they are done well, they scratch an itch that I didn't know that anybody had, and that is to have a miniaturized version of a console that they grew up on. Now, with that being said, when they're done poorly, it's a completely and totally different story, where it's like literally taking somebody's childhood and stabbing it with a skewer multiple times. That's what happened with the PlayStation Classic. So with that being said, it looks like they are making the right moves to ensure this is going to be good for fans that grew up on the Sega Genesis, because to go ahead and give that other bad company the boot and make this an internal project is without a doubt going to be a big benefit going into the release season of this thing, which again is coming out in September of 2019. specifically the 19th. When it comes to the games list, it's going to be a very interesting kind of thing to see people give their perspective on this, because I didn't grow up with the Sega Genesis. It was never really my thing. My tie is all kinds of messed up today, isn't it? I never grew up on the Sega Genesis. I came after that. So I don't know what games really were the big ones on the Sega Genesis, but I know that for many people, if the game list is done correctly, which of course you have stuff like Sonic, you have Toe Jam and Earl, you have Altered Beast, Castlevania Bloodlines, which it looks like it's going pretty well, then you are probably going to be able to really encapsulate that sense of nostalgia that people want from this kind of experience. And so hopefully this is going to be what Sega wants it to be, what Sega fans want it to be, and of course we will find out on September the 19th of 2019. It's going to be a pretty good time. Ties all kinds of, you know what? It's April Fool's Day. Boom. That's what we got. Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it up big time. Yeah. Moving on to the next story of the day, Valve's VR headset is called Index, and it's coming soon. The Valve-produced headset is going on sale in May and suggests a Steam teaser right here. Without any sort of announcement, a teaser for the Valve Index has appeared on Steam, and it's clearly Valve's VR headset, as you can see right here. It's clearly a VR headset. The only text in the teaser reads, "Upgrade your experience," and May 2019, so presumably that's when the Index will go on sale, given that the word sale is in the URL. At point of clarification, the HTC Vive is commonly considered Valve's headset because it's the primary Steam VR headset, but it's made by HTC. Any company can produce Steam VR compatible gear, and the idea was that multiple manufacturers would create a variety of headsets for the platform. That has not yet manifested, with Valve's own Index being the first big Vive competitor to appear. Valve is also working on some new Steam VR controllers, and other companies can also do that in addition to them. Valve's headset has been rumored for a while and became just about a sure thing when convincing-looking images leaked last November. Before that, in March of last year, Gabe Newell said he was jealous of Nintendo's ability to produce both hardware and games, which was a strong hint. Valve also announced in 2017 that it's developing 3 new VR games, and presumably one or more will be tied to the Index's release. Additionally, SteamDB took note of the Steam database listing earlier this year and found the logo and trademark filing before we even knew what it referred to. Even though it was heavily rumored, I'm still a little surprised, the author says, that we're seeing Valve's headset so soon. Over the past several years, Valve seemed to be flirting with the idea of becoming a hardware company, but not fully committing. With its own headset, it's taking a big step towards those Nintendo dreams. Also, the Upgrade Your Experience line is bold. I like it. Wonder how HTC feels about the entire situation. And yeah, we are aware of their PC Gamer that it's almost like the 1st of April, but Valve tells us it's real and that there will be more news soon. Also, it would be weird to announce a VR headset that looks just like those in the leaked photos as a joke. So this is a big deal for those that are into VR. Of course, as they said, the market hasn't really responded to virtual reality in the way that I think many people thought that it would. It hasn't been widely adopted from the developers' front. And I say that with hesitation because the reaction to VR has gone leaps and bounds past what I thought it would actually become. I didn't expect VR to get this far, to be honest with you. If I'm being completely and totally transparent, I thought PlayStation VR would have gone the way of the PlayStation Vita by this point and just been dropped off, kind of like, an orphan, where it's just like, I don't need this, I can't take care of this, nobody wants. Like, it's one of those things. I apologize to all orphans. Anyways, Valve's VR headset, though, is another way to show that companies are beginning to double down on VR because it has lasted so long. In a way, I see VR kind of like this YouTube channel. By all stretches of the imagination, I should have given up on this probably about 4 years ago if I was going by just by the views, just by the, sense of how much time I put into this versus how much I'm getting out of it. This shouldn't have lasted this long. But with passion, with the drive to keep doing stuff, with the positive comments and the positive experiences that come from doing this, I've kept going. And I think the same thing kind of applies to VR, where although it's not necessarily profitable at this point, although it's not necessarily something that is competing with the mainline hardware and also with basic televisions and computer monitors, it's still being proven time and time again, day after day, that VR has a future, both in the entertainment field as well as in other fields too. And so, I think that really going forward, you're going to be seeing a lot more VR, and of course, I think it's going to be a big part of gaming going forward. Will it ever be a world in which you don't have a computer monitor, but you just have a PC and a headset? Probably not. But with that being said, an interesting thought nonetheless, and one that I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on. But we will see what happens in May of 2019. Again, it looks like Valve's VR headset called Index is going to be popping up pretty soon. In fact, technically less than 1 month from now, if they're going to be on May the 1st. That's very unlikely, but we'll see what happens. Now let's talk about this new Fortnite skin plagiarism accusation giant mess that has popped up relatively overnight. The Fortnite Taro skin plagiarism accusation incident is apparently fake. It looks like the Fortnite skin design believed to have been plagiarized by Epic Games doesn't actually belong to a DeviantArt artist. Let's start with the original story, shall we? Epic is being accused of plagiarism. The Taro, Protector of Wild's skin, was released in November of 2018 and bears a striking resemblance to an original character design that appeared on DeviantArt 2 months prior. Or so we thought. Now, the two designs are incredibly similar, but with that being said, since the story went public, which you can follow below, other DeviantArt users have done some digging. It turns out, according to the Pyro Zombie, the artist in question edited an older submission to make it look like their work was plagiarized. Pyro Zombie posted a cached screenshot of the artist's library from Google Cache and compared it against the more recent edition. Prior to this incident, the design in question had not existed. This was harder to initially detect because the artist edited an existing design. When this happens, DeviantArt does not update the submission date, so it looked like it was an old design Epic Games had stolen. The original tweet has since been deleted, as it now appears this was a hoax. So essentially, for those that don't know, on DeviantArt you can go in, and if you uploaded one file before, you can replace that with another file, and the timestamp on it still remains the same. And so Epic had actually responded and said that they were looking in to the accusation, looking into what actually went down here. And that's whenever somebody said, oh no, this has gone much too far. And so the point that I want to make here is don't be a shitty person. If you know that you didn't make something, regardless of whether it's a company, a person, whatever it might have been, don't participate in plagiarism on either the accusation end, if it is false, or the actual plagiarism end. Just do your own work. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned in college, is that although it may be tempting to go online and copy and paste something, although it may be tempting to steal something from somebody else and use it, you need to give credit where credit is due. And also, when it comes to any kind of work you do in life, it's always valued more if it is your own, and if it is truthful, and if it's morally upright. So with that being said, it looks like this DeviantArt artist was trying to make a quick buck and was not morally upright. So you will not pass go. You will not collect $200. And you will go straight to jail. No, I'm just kidding. There's no arrest going to happen here. But I did want to let you guys know that was, in fact, false. The test has proven that was a lie. Anyways, moving on to the Humble Bundle story. Humble Bundle co-founders have stepped down, replaced by former Double Fine VP. Jeffrey Rosen and John Graham have led the company since 2010. And of course, for those that don't know, Humble Bundle is, number one, a fantastic place to get a variety of games for one low price. And on top of that, a fantastic way to benefit charity overall. So you should definitely check it out if you have never before. Humble Bundle's co-founders have stepped down from their roles at the head of the company and have been replaced by the former chief product officer of free-to-play games developer Kixeye? Yes. Jeffrey Rosen, chief executive, and John Graham, chief operating officer, founded Humble Bundle in 2010 and have led the company ever since. They will remain in advisory roles until the end of the year and potentially a long way past that. Taking charge of the day-to-day operations of Humble Bundle is Alan Padmore, who joins from Kixeye. Before Kixeye, he was a studio general manager at Farmville developer Zynga, and he previously worked as vice president at Double Fine Productions, overseeing the development of Stacking, Iron Brigade, and Costume Quest. Padmore, who takes on the role of executive vice president and general manager, told GamesIndustry.biz that his experience with free-to-play gaming is actually pretty applicable to a digital storefront like Humble Bundle. There are a lot of similarities in terms of process, development, economics, and even ethos. close. In addition, my experience with traditional development and publishing lends itself well to the publishing side of the business. For me, it's a perfect fit. I get to flex my muscles on both sides. Outgoing COO Graham said that 2018 had been the company's best year and that 2019 was off to Humble Bundle's best start ever. Former CEO Rosen added, "We are not leaving, we will still be here, more as advisors, all the way until the end of the year and hopefully a long way past that. But we're more startup kind of guys, and Humble Bundle has become huge. For our benefit and for Humble Bundle's benefit, I think Alan is going to do a really good job." Now, of course, IGN acquired Humble Bundle in 2017, which is an interesting take on that, because I had completely and totally forgotten about that. But overwhelmingly, Humble Bundle is a fantastic part of the gaming culture of today, and so I hope the very best for the co-founders and also the new man taking the lead, because Humble Bundle has a lot of power in the industry, both to distribute games and also to do good. So hopefully they will make the right moves, and I have full faith that they will continue to do so, as they have done in the past. But we'll see what happens, as Humble is still shaping up to have its best year ever throughout 2019. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed, because for those that don't know, Assassin's Creed 3 was re-released on Friday because of a big remaster that came out, and it was released on the PS4, the Xbox One, the PC. Looks great, but the original version is no longer on Steam or Uplay. With the recent release of the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, Ubisoft may not want people buying the original version of the game, and it looks like that unremastered version, some might call it the original version, has been removed from both Steam and Uplay with some odd exceptions. Currently, the Steam page for the game lists a notice. At the request of the publisher, Assassin's Creed 3 is no longer available for sale on Steam. Only the remaster is available for $39.99. The original was selling for $19.99 as of earlier this week and had recently been on sale for $4.99, according to stat tracking site SteamDB. Those who already own the game on Steam are reporting being able to re-download the game. However, those who own a Uplay copy may be out of luck. The game isn't listed on Ubisoft's client at all. And anecdotally speaking, I attempted to download the Uplay copy I owned, says the author, only to be redirected to the Steam page, and since I don't own the Steam version, I can no longer download my version of the game. However, it looks like the game is still available for purchase on Ubisoft's web store, but of course, don't buy that because it looks like it doesn't exist. Strangely enough, Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, the remaster of which is included with the standard version of Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, is still up on Steam, but not on Uplay outside of the remaster. And of course, Ubisoft has been reached for comment, but they have not replied as of yet. So this is a really interesting big mess of a situation, which I think was originally well intended, because of course, you're not going to leave the old game up necessarily and release the new game, because the remaster, of course, is leaps and bounds better than the OG Assassin's Creed 3 that released back on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 generation. And so to take it down simply makes sense, but to leave up Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, to have Assassin's Creed 3 on some storefronts and not on others, and then able to be downloaded but then redirected to it, it's a big mess, which I'm sure will be sorted out, and more than likely somebody will get this kind of stuff for free eventually, where they're like, oh no, my game can't be accessed, and then Ubisoft will be like, hey, here's $15, or here's a free copy of Assassin's Creed 3, only at GameStop. Power to the players. Anyways, if you did want to check out Assassin's Creed 3, still a good time, still looks really good. But of course, right now, the PC version has faced an insurmountable issue of where do I buy it from? And do I play the old one still? So hopefully that will be overcome. And of course, if there is a comment on this, I will let you guys know what is going on as we do get more info. And also, Gamer, what's going on? But the final story of the day, Skyrim Grandma will be an NPC in the Elder Scrolls 6. This is a fantastic story. Shirley Curry, the 82-year-old grandmother and YouTuber known for her Skyrim videos, will be making an appearance in the Elder Scrolls 6. Bethesda will use photogrammetry technology to scan the legendary Skyrim enthusiast and add her to the game. Bethesda revealed new information about the technology behind the Elder Scrolls 6 today at PAX East during the Elder Scrolls 25th anniversary panel. In a video about the series, the company explained their planned use of photogrammetry, I believe I'm saying that correctly, technology which can take scans of real-life objects and translate them into high-detail 3D. This will be used for the game's environments, and similar scanning technology will be used to add Grandma Shirley to the game as a character. This means a lot to me, Curry says in the video, because I would be extremely happy to know that somebody else was playing with my character in a future Elder Scrolls game. Curry boasts 483,000 subscribers on YouTube, where she posts Let's Plays of Skyrim and speaks to her viewers through vlogs. Curry confirmed her addition to The Elder Scrolls 6 on Twitter, where she also showed off a video with her meeting Todd Howard, saying, "Well, since they made the announcement about me today as a character in the next TES game, I can show my favorite thing I brought away with me! Exclamation point times 3. Nice." She's wearing a pretty nice Elder Scrolls t-shirt, and Todd looks happy too. We don't really know much about when Elder Scrolls 6 will release, but eagle-eyed fans have to look out for Curry, whose specific role is also unknown. She might end up as a tough bandit, but I guess that she's a friendly adventurer with sagely wisdom to impart. But we will see what happens with Grandma Shirley in The Elder Scrolls 6. But for those that don't know this woman, she's just like a shining beam of hope in a gaming industry that can be so volatile and mean. I love this woman. She's hilarious. She's fantastic. And if you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, she's just so pure. Like, it's just like in a gaming industry, in an entertainment space online, where people can be just absolutely ruthless. All of a sudden, you've got this grandma making Skyrim videos. It is awesome, right? So I would highly encourage you to check her out. Of course, when The Elder Scrolls 6 comes out in 2035, we'll be able to see where she is in the game, and of course, it's going to be a pretty big deal when somebody does find her for the first time. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of Caffeinate. Of course, if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to drop me a like down below on YouTube. And of course, you can always follow on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams to catch the show live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, or subscribe on a podcast service of your choice, including Spotify, because Spotify is the way to go. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.